Welcome back, everyone, for another episode of One and Done here with Zeke.
Yo,
And for today, we'll have a nice little discussion on this past weekend. Quite a few things going on in the Dragon Ball community. We actually had one event for the regionals, and then we also had another event for the Tournament of Power that happened both in Vegas, actually.
there was actually a
Um,
lot that happened this weekend. There was a lot. The Dragon Ball was a big thing this weekend.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But then we had like Yu-Gi-Oh had a big weekend too with the YCS in Vegas as well as YCS Netherlands. YCS
So,
Netherlands.
what does YCS stand for those that don't know?
Yu-Gi-Oh Championship Series. Champion Series. Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh
Okay.
Championship Series. So similar to Dragon Ball's Championship Series, like literally identical terminology. They're
Yeah.
basically like regionals, but championship series are usually bigger. They offer bigger prize support, bigger thing like that. Like it was a huge weekend for a lot of things. We had the Wilder Fury fight. We had Kobe. There was so much things going on this weekend. Like it's crazy stuff.
Well, you were very lucky because you actually were able to attend in person. I was not. So yeah, just tell us a little bit about like how it was to be there, live and you know,
In
there when
Vegas.
everything was going on. Yeah, yeah. Like how
Yeah,
was the
no.
entire thing?
Oh, it was crazy. I was judging the event for Dragon Ball
Yeah.
at the expo. So there was two different Dragon Ball tournaments. There was the regional championship series, and then you had a special private tournament hosted by Daylon Mack, who was a Ravens NFL player who loves the game, and he hosted a $10,000 cash tournament at the event in Vegas
Right,
the
which
same
was like
weekend.
entirely separate. It was a different location.
Yeah,
Was
so
basically like his own thing. It wasn't something that Bandai officially like
correct.
did with. Right, right. Okay.
Right. And so combined total attendance. So regionals were split into 3 days. You had 2 days to qualify for top cut for Sunday. So with Dragon Ball, I think between both. So Saturday we had 212 total players. Friday we had 412. So we had a combined total of 624 players playing between both days. Uh,
That's great.
yeah. So technically there's a lot of terminology, but technically this is the largest regionals Dragon Ball's ever had. People will say San Jose was a regional. San Jose was actually an ARG circuit series that Bandai supported in terms of Bandai gave ARG prize support. And San Jose had 530 people. So technically, like on a 1 day to 1 day basis, this is the second largest regionals if you want to count San Jose. We don't count celebrations, which was in March last year. March celebrations had an average attendance of 500, but the reason why we don't count celebrations is because it's a free event versus these are pay to enter events. So it's kind of different because when something's free, it's kind of like whoever's in town can just come in at their leisure. Versus when it's a paid event, people usually plan to go, and so it was a big weekend for Dragon Ball. Chris
Could you
Sabath.
argue that if there wasn't a tournament of power, that the attendance could have been even larger for just the regionals one?
I think, I think it goes hand in hand. I think a lot of people. So Daylon announced this tournament in October, originally. So and then he changed. It was originally gonna be on Valentine's Day weekend, and then he changed it to the following weekend just because flights were so expensive on Valentine's week. He wanted to do it the following week. So many people were planning to go to Vegas already for that event. I mean, 200 and like 40, 50 people were total attendance for Daylon's tournament. So you had 250 people who were already planning on going to Daylon's. So I think the fact that regionals was split into 2 days from Friday, so people had the ability to go to Friday regionals and then Saturday Daylon's. I think it all. I think they go hand in hand.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say that Daylon's tournament positively or negatively affected the attendance. I just know for a fact that they help each other in many ways, and in terms of like the event, like the whole weekend. I mean, we had Chris Sabath and Sean Schimmel. I think his name is Sean Schimmel. So I know his name. First
Yeah.
name is Sean. The voice actors for both Vegeta, Goku, were there. That was really cool seeing them. I got to meet Chris, which was really cool. I saw Sean. I'm more of a Vegeta fan over Goku, so I you know. I've met Sean Schimmel a handful of times, and I've met Chris Sabath a handful of times. I travel a lot, so I was just more
So let
excited.
me ask you this, because you definitely have the experience and I don't. The voices you hear in the dub episodes of Dragon Ball, are they their natural voices? So like when you talk
No,
to them, he's talking like Vegeta or he's talking
no,
like
no, no.
Goku?
So for those who don't know, Chris Sabath voices Krillin, Yamcha, Piccolo, and Vegeta. Um, he voices all of those, and for a bunch of other animes, he also voices All Might in My Hero, which was actually a big factor why he was there. But I'll get into that later. Um, Chris Sabath's voice is closer to Yamcha.
You mean like his natural?
Yeah, his natural voice is closer to Yamcha's voice,
Got it.
which
That's
is
funny.
interesting. It
Are
is.
they able
It,
to like on demand do a voice? Like if you like ask the guy, "Hey, can I just hear something that sounds like Vegeta?" Would he be able to do it, or he just like normally is like,
he
"No, sorry, it's too
can.
hard."
He can. I don't do it because I think it's super rude.
Oh,
But
really? You're not gonna be like, "Man, I'd love to hear a Vegeta."
oh no, no. I've met them enough so many times, and I've like have bathed in the sound of Dragon Ball for decades.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, I don't know. I'm weird. Like you and I have had a discussion. Like when it comes to everything, I have a different perspective or desire in a lot of things. And for me, like the very first time I met Sean and Chris in my life, the very first time I was super like simple. I was still fanboying, but I was simple. Like here, can you sign this? I appreciate everything you've done.
Yeah.
Super simple. Like they said, thank you, took a pose, took a picture, done. Like that was my
Man,
first.
so cordial.
I don't know. Like they're okay. So me personally, I've worked at a lot of conventions to do a lot of event organizing for Pokemon, Dragon Ball, Yu-Gi-Oh. In the last like 15 years, and I've gone to as a player. I've also gone to a lot of conventions. So I've met like a ton of like like B-level celebrities, like voice actors and like TV actors, like Supernatural, Power Rangers, Buffy. Like I've met all these people, and I feel like they get so oversaturated with like the super hype fan people who like almost are cringe. I don't want to be that person. And I think it's cool because I've also now worked at conventions and worked at events that they see me as staff and they treat me differently. They're like, "Oh, hey, what's up?" When they call me by my first name, like that's super cool. Like like I said, I've met Chris and Sean a handful of times, and it's cool when they recognize you, and it's like cool. Like I'm not working alongside like with them, but I'm working alongside them. Like we're at the same booth, we're at the same venue, and like we see each other throughout the day, and it's kind of cool that when you go through that like several times in a couple of years, it's kind of cool. Like we like this time. So Sean was doing his own thing at a panel. Chris was also doing his own thing at a panel, but Chris also came to the Dragon Ball event because the tournament organizer for Dragon Ball was also the organizer for World sorry for UFS fighting game. The World Championship was also being hosted right next to Dragon Ball's tournament, and they were like organized by the same tournament organizer. And Chris, being the voice of All Might, Chris actually came because UFS got the license for My Hero Academia, and Chris was doing special signings for All Might cards and things like that at right next to the Dragon Ball section of the event. So there was so many.
So
things
was he
going.
supposed to be there for both, or was he only supposed to be there for one, and the second one just happened to be at the same time?
No. So the organizer, from what I understand, Chris Sabath was supposed to be there to do his own thing, and then the organizer, I guess, worked something out prior to the venue and everything that he would come over for a couple hours to Jasco's, who's the owner of Universal Fighting System, the card game, UFS, to come over to sign a couple cards, meet fans, things like that. Which I actually own from the event a couple of All Might cards that are signed by Chris Sabath, which I don't care for, unfortunately. It's really weird. I did get a playmat signed by him because I figured he'd be there and it'd be kind of cool. Um,
Was it
but
personalized? Like, hey, Zeke, thanks for
no, I'm not,
something, or
I feel like I'm gonna get the opportunity to see him again so frequently that I'm not really worried about it. And it's so, I feel so bad saying it so loosely because I know there are
yeah, I'm like
people.
super jealous. I mean, for me, like growing up with these guys being the voice actors of the show, like it's just such a big deal. But maybe it's because I haven't had a chance to see them as often as you, so that could be it too. But
Right.
you said even your first time, you weren't that like
No,
crazy excited about it or anything.
it takes a lot for me to get excited from another human being. Like I appreciate people's like professionalism, and I appreciate like what you do as a profession, and I'm like, oh my god, this is cool to meet you. I want to say thank you. Like I don't know. I've always been that way. To surprise
You're
me.
like the perfect fan then, because like a lot of times these guys get like overwhelmed with all these crazies,
Oh yeah.
and
Oh yeah.
yeah, you're just like the perfect fan. You're just like, hey man, nice to meet you. Sign this, gone.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I think like that's part of like a lot of things. Like Chris was super cool. Sean's cool. Sean's like super into cons from my experience interacting with him. I mean, I'm sure they both love doing it. I'm just personally like it's weird because I love Dragon Ball to a huge immensity, and you know this because we talk about it all the time. But at the same time, I'm personally like in this weird bubble where I have the opportunity to meet people so frequently. I'm friends with some of the organizers at Level Up Expo, and like I have an open invitation to work the venue again if I wanted to next year, and meet a bunch of people if I wanted to, and I have the liberty of making that decision. So I feel like because I have so much opportunity, it doesn't excite me as much. Like there's
yeah,
very
yeah. I mean, I could see that. I mean that. What about in terms of like trying to sneak in some like uh info about like upcoming stuff? Like, hey, like has
so
there been confirmation that that Dragon Ball is gonna keep going and that you're still gonna be the voice actor? Like
so so
dirty
so
little things like that that
so
they probably aren't supposed to tell you, but they might slip up and tell you in
so,
person.
so, so so I asked that question specifically. I was like, "Do you know anything about Dragon Ball?" And I haven't told you this, but I specifically asked him that question. His agent just cut me off, saying he's not allowed to answer things regarding information.
Oh,
It was like a hard like, nope, no can do. And it's funny. It's funny because we were having like a super casual conversation about Vegas because we were in Vegas, and then I just slipped that in, and like his agent was like, cock block.
damn. So was he like just overhearing the whole thing? I mean, does
I
he
don't know.
always get followed by his agent?
Well, okay, so
Like, can you like catch him in the bathroom and ask him or something?
I wouldn't go that far. I would never do anything like that. No, no. So kind of a sad reality is you have to pay to get autographs. Like in the convention world, like I paid $200 to get a Stan Lee autograph and a picture with him, which I immediately regretted as soon as I paid the money. I was like, I feel horrible. Like this is gross. Like this just feels wrong that I'm paying money just to. And this was like 7-8 years ago. This was in Florida at like a convention in Florida. So funny thing. The sad reality is you have to pay for autographs. You have to pay to meet the people you want to meet, on top of paying to get into the convention. You have to pay a second premium on top of everything, and it looks and feels really gross when you're handing the voice actor of Vegeta, here's $20. Let's take a picture. Like it just looks really weird, and it's a bad look. So what happens is most times voice actors, and things like that, what they'll do is they'll have their agent or a money handler. Um, they'll have somebody who takes that money instead, and then leads you to the voice actor. At the end of the day, all that money goes to the voice actor, which is kind of like
Right.
sad.
Well, not all of it, right? I'm sure a percentage would go to the agent, right?
Right. Well sometimes because like in my experience working cons, like I like sometimes the money handler is a family member. You know what I mean? Sometimes
I
it's their
see.
agent. Sometimes it's a money. It's specifically a money handler.
Yeah.
I've worked with venue organizers in the past, and they yeah, it's kind of shitty. To be honest, like they'll come to the convention and like their agent doesn't want to do it, and they're like, "Oh, find me a money handler." And it's like, I've seen venue organizers be really irritated that they now have to hire somebody or try to find a volunteer who's going to stand next to the Red Ranger for 12 hours to just handle his money.
So
Like
did you have to pay to like
I didn't
meet?
because he came over to sign stuff for Jasco, and like he was just signing stuff for them, and I was like, oh, can you sign this? And then he
Oh, I see. I see.
but like would I have paid to get it signed? I don't know because the thing that I got,
How much do they normally charge? Do you know?
it depends. I mean, like I said, Stanley was $200, and then
No,
like,
I know, but I figure Stanley's like an extreme example because he's
well, he's dead now.
worldwide famous. Well, yeah, but
I-
you know what I mean. Like he's a little bit more well known, I'd say, than someone like the voice actor of Goku. So I'm wondering, like, for someone like him, would it be a little bit more modest? Like I don't know, $20, $30 kind of thing, or is it still gonna be like pretty steep?
So my experience, it's roughly around that. I would
Yeah.
say I would say maybe the highest I've seen him charge is $30, or the venue charges to go into the autograph room is $30, where you can get
Right.
like I remember, I think the last autograph that I paid for was like 5 years ago, and I paid for it by accident because I thought it was just a pay to get into the room, which it was, but I didn't understand that it was an autograph room. I was just like, oh, I want to go see Kevin Conroy. I don't know if you know who Kevin Conroy is, but he's the voice actor of Batman for like the last 40 years. So he like Arkham Asylum, Batman the Animated Series, Justice League Unlimited, Justice League regular. Like he's been the voice actor Batman Beyond. He's been the voice actor for Batman forever. He is like the Batman. And I go in the room, and I'm like, oh shit. I think he was there. The not Mark Hamill, but the other person who's doing the voice of Joker. He was there, and I forget who else was there. And then the girl that voice acts Harley Quinn. They were all in the room. It was all like are the Arkham game voice actors. And I paid by accident. I think I paid like $50, and that was the last autograph I paid for. It's sad
Nice.
because like I've met Kevin Conroy after the fact, like after that, like a couple years later at other conventions like that I was working at, and like he was like alongside me, and like Kevin's super cool. Like he's a super cool dude. Like all the times that I've interacted with him, super chill, nonchalant. As long as you don't obviously like obsess over him in front of him, as long as you don't do that, then it's fine. And like it's just pretty funny. Like the world is just really interesting. But to relate back to collectibles, to be relevant, the thing that I got.
Well, I was actually gonna ask you is like, do you think, like, because his agent said no, that it actually means something's going on?
No,
Because like I almost feel like if they knew 100% nothing else was gonna happen in Dragon Ball, they'd probably just say no.
See, most people would think something like that. I personally feel like there's just so much going on. There's a lot going on in with Funimation and stuff like that. That I think it's just one of those things where like the voice actor for Vegeta, the French one or I forget who it was. They fucked up and said like, oh yeah, I'm recording right now, trying to hype himself up, saying like I'm recording new episodes of Dragon Ball, and that was like 2 years ago. Like 6 months after Tournament of Power ended, like he was like saying like, oh, we're doing more Dragon Ball, and it's been like about 2 years. And
Yeah, so there's probably some stuff in the works.
I wouldn't be surprised if there is. I
Yeah.
just think it's more of like you can't disclose because you can't, because it can be used against you in marketing and all that. So I think that's like the big thing. A good person who covers a lot of that. There's a YouTuber. His name is Geekdom. He does a really good job of covering stuff like that. I personally just feel like it's just more of like a don't ask, don't tell kind of thing. Like I thought about asking asking like more like different like intricate ways, and I was like, eh.
Yeah. Oh no, I mean it doesn't hurt because you're there and he's there, and who knows? But totally get it. Would you say overall though that the turnout for Dragon Ball this weekend was like
It was
met
strong.
your expectations? Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was way above Bandai and my own expectations. It was really
That's
cool.
awesome. What about in terms of like, because you were also judging, like, what did you feel about the meta and stuff? Because obviously the new set just came out too, so you probably had a lot of players incorporating the newer cards into playing as well.
Yeah, no, I definitely there was like a lot of stuff that. So I play the game, I judge the game, I collect the game, and this is probably a really good diverse meta where a lot of players are happy to play at. Yeah, it was really good. Honestly, there's like so much to there's just so much to talk about that I'm trying not to like dive into this like this bottomless pit.
Well, what about in terms of like, did you see anyone bust out a victory strike or actually use the victory strike to just like auto win a match?
The new one? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but they use it for
Nice.
different things. It's interesting. They use it differently, so it's kind of like one of those things where I'm just kind of like, it's cool to see just things played differently. In terms of collectability, it's weird. Apex of power went down to like 150 before the weekend, and then now it's over 200 again. I mean, I mean, it did really well. Apex of power was played heavily in a
Would
lot
you
of
say that
decks.
was the most common secret that you saw in decks?
I would say no, it's not.
Which one? Which one?
The cell. The cell.
Yeah.
The cell is just the most playable one, which is funny.
Small head, big body cell.
Yeah, I mean he's a cockroach. He's literally a cockroach. No, I mean the weekend was great. I mean there was just so much going on, in terms of like collectability, and something that I wanted to really talk about was just more like how autographs affect card values. I know you and I have had this discussion, or just autographs in general, like getting something that's valuable already, getting it signed by a person, and I'm gonna use that as broad as possible, a collectible item being signed by a celebrity, and I feel like everything's case by case, because you and I have had this discussion. I don't have any interest in getting any card signed by a voice actor. I have none, no interest. But the only person, in terms of Dragon Ball, but I have a lot of interest in getting it signed by Akira Toriyama, which is the creator of Dragon Ball. So like,
Yeah.
So like,
Well, I guess it comes down to though, is it generally accepted that, like, let's say Akira Toriyama signs something that you have, will the value go up or will the value go down, or is it something that's more like it's more niche, it's more personal to you, so in your mind you feel like it's increasing the value because it means so much to you, but the broader like group of people might not feel like it would increase. Like for example, like if Akira Toriyama were to sign an Awakened Power, would everyone think that increases the card value, or would only the fans of Akira say that increases the value, right? Like it is such a case by case basis that it's really hard to say.
right, because like in sports, autograph always increases the value of the item related.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's weird, like you get boxing gloves signed by Wilder and Fury or Mayweather, like whoever, that increases the value, by so much, because like it's a autograph like boxing glove by a boxer is worth so much more than an autographed piece of paper. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it could also be just like it's just like a perception thing too. Like it's already been like accepted in the world of sports that when athletes sign stuff, it's much more desired. Whereas with trading cards, because the actual cards are used to actually play a game, it's not as commonly perceived that once it gets signed, it automatically just increases the desirability of having it or not, right? Because it's just such a different like paradigm compared to like sports. Because like sports card, you don't like put them in a deck and play them, right? So like that
Right.
that idea of signing it doesn't really hurt that. Whereas with trading cards, a lot of purists will say, no, the card's no longer playable. You can't read the text. That was meant to be signed. Like there's so many arguments against it that I think it just ultimately comes down to preference a lot of the times. Like, does a person enjoy the card so much that having a signature doesn't bother them versus someone that, it does bother them. Like it's so different in traditional card games than sports, I think.
I think what makes Japanese influence card games such as Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Dragon Ball is it comes down to voice actor versus artist. Versus you look at Magic, it's just artist. And like,
Well, I think part of that too is because it's tied to like an actual show or like a franchise, right? Whereas Magic, like there is no Magic TV show, right? Like whereas with Yu-Gi-Oh,
there will be soon.
Pokemon,
there will be soon on Netflix. So,
yeah, but you know what I mean? Like generally,
Right.
Magic didn't come from
a show,
like other platforms. It was its own thing from day one. Whereas with Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh and even Dragon Ball, they were
started
actually
as
different.
Right.
Yeah. So it's kind of a different
But see,
thing too.
I feel like Dragon Ball is unique because it has voice actors. Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh don't have voice actors.
I mean, they do technically, right? Like
No, no.
they all have voice actors for their shows. They just might not be as known or recognized.
Well, no. What I'm saying is like they have voice actors for their shows that are well known, but they don't have cards that embody the show. Neither.
I see.
Only Pokemon has like some of them, but the card game is heavily based directly off of the video game for Pokemon.
Right.
So
right.
not really the anime. Like I don't think there's an Ash Ketchum card. You know what I mean? There's no, and the Misty card and like Misty and Brock and all them, like those cards are based off of the character's design from the video game,
right?
Not the show. So getting the voice actor for Brock to sign a Brock's Grit is the card I'm thinking of. Brock's Grit, Brock's Grit is like a full art Brock card, and getting it signed by Brock, I feel like wouldn't really mean anything because it's like. The art is heavily influenced by the video game, not the anime. Like, and same thing with like Misty's determination. Like, getting the voice actress to sign. Like, it would be like you said. Like it could heavily devalue or heavily increase. I think in those cases it would devalue, or it's just kind of like whatever. But for
you think a part of it could also be because of how it's designed on the card, because like those cards actually have credit given to the artist, whereas in Dragon Ball you don't actually see the credit given to an artist, so it doesn't feel like that would make sense. Like, who knows who drew or did the art for the Awakened Power? So you're kind of like in the dark on knowing who should sign it that would be appropriate. So the only ones that come to mind would be the voice actor of the character or like the Godfather. So I don't know. I guess it's an interesting idea. Like to me personally, like as a huge fan of Dragon Ball growing up, anything that has a voice actor's signature on it means much more to me. So I would say it increases the value. But there could be plenty of arguments made where it wouldn't make sense to do it. So yeah, it's definitely like a very case by case basis, and even beyond case by case, it's person to person basis. So yeah, but I guess yeah, it sounds like you were able to get some signature stuff. So
yeah,
I mean, do you feel like it's the kind of stuff that makes you happy and means more to you?
I mean, I hope Chris isn't listening, or nor his agent. But the thing that I got signed was strictly for the intensive purpose of either trading away or selling. Like I don't. Yeah. So that's the thing. That's the biggest thing I hate about autographs, and this is why like I'm super like not a big fan, especially for me. Like I have access to like know where people are gonna be. Work conventions and stuff like that. Like it's so easy for me to get autographs, and a lot of people. A lot of like actors, voice actresses, artists, like they know that their signature is being sold. Like more than half the things they sign end up getting sold somewhere, and they hate it. They literally hate it because they're just like, why don't I just buy a bunch of this stuff? And I mean, not to sound mean, and I'm not putting like just Chris and Sean on that category, but like there's a lot of people who are just nobodies. Like they're just regular people who happen to be the voice actor of one iconic person. And I don't just mean Sean or Chris. Chris is like has been a voice actor for so many other characters across so many other animes. Like Chris is a legit like voice actor celebrity. He's probably like up in people's top 10. Sean's probably up there too. But there's other voice actors that are just like super niche. They had a one-hit wonder, and they're just regular people, and like their career like I'm going to use Buffy the Vampire Slayer as a really good example. They didn't really take off. The people who were in that show never really, like, went... Same thing with Power Rangers. Like they never really went anywhere. Like they never became big-time movie actors. So all they have is this. And to me, it just seems really dumb that these regular people... Some of them have, like, regular day jobs. Like they're a waiter somewhere. Like I've heard some crazy things, and it's like... They could just buy their own like merchandise and just sign it and sell it on eBay themselves. And to me, like knowing that has super deterred me from caring about autographs. And it's like the only thing that to me makes it valuable at that point is like taking a unique piece of merchandise to get signed. Like the thing that I got signed is an exclusive playmat that was given out during a very specific time frame, and there's probably less than 500 of this playmat ever made.
That's pretty cool. You should share it with the Dragon Ball group. the collector group if you're interested, just to let people see it. I mean,
Yeah,
that sounds pretty awesome to me. Like
right.
getting something like that specially limited and stuff signed.
Yeah, and that's kind of like the few things I like to get signed. I feel like I can go into a whole other tangent about autographs and celebrities, but I think what's really important is that Dragon Ball's unique because you have voice actors. Every single
For
card,
sure. Yeah.
every
For sure.
single card made in Dragon Ball has a voice actor. You cannot say the same thing about Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, or Pokemon.
Yeah.
Magic strictly has artists. Pokemon, a majority, 99% of all cards made are only artists. Yu-Gi-Oh, same thing, 99% is strictly artists. But for Dragon Ball, you have voice actors for every single card made. With the exception of like extra cards, if you know what those are. But those are basically the ones that are not battle. Like, they're not
Yeah.
characters.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're just like events. But other than that, every single card basically has a voice actor. Like, there's a voice actor for Rildo. There's like all of the minute characters like Bulma and Chi-Chi and Goten and Gohan, and I mean Gohan's voice actor is actually pretty popular. I think Hit's voice actor, not come to think of it, is actually a newer voice actor. I forget his name. But yeah, I think there's definitely like a lot of different interesting things. Yeah, he is a new guy. His name is Matthew Merker. He's done the voice of Hit, and he's also done like the antagonist of Puyo Puyo.
Then we also have the new voice actor for Broly too. So
I
definitely some new blood in Dragon Ball.
Oh man, that's a whole other topic.
Yeah. Well, let's save it for next time because we're going a little over now. So it sounds like overall though this weekend was good. I definitely thought it was fun to watch what was going on the live stream. A lot of interesting events and yeah, I totally agree with you. I think what we saw from this past weekend was just a lot of health and growing popularity for the game, and a great turnout to both events. So, all right, good stuff as always. Thanks again, Zeke, for joining, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yep. Have a good one, guys.